Hi, and welcome back for part 2 of our discussion on Jesus and Lazarus. Last time we discussed how Jesus, after hearing that his friend Lazarus was seriously ill, waited several days before going to go see him. And that kind of perplexed the disciples on a couple different levels. First of all, they were a little confused about his death in general and how Jesus was describing that to them, but also they were kind of surprised to be going back through a route that they had previously traveled, and last time they did, there were people who wanted to stone Jesus, and that doesn't bode too well for return visits most of the time. But despite their confusion and fear, they walked in faith. They went with Jesus. As we look at where today's reading picks up, Jesus is arriving at the home of Mary and Martha, Lazarus' sisters. I invite you to hear these words from John 11, verses 17 through 27. On his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in their loss. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed home. "Lord," Martha said to Jesus, "if you had been here, my brother would not have even died. But I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask." Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise again." Martha answered, "Oh yeah, I know he will rise again in the resurrection and at the last day." Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and I am the life. He who believes in me will live even though he dies, and whoever lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?" "Yes, Lord," she told him. "I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who was to come into this world." The word of God for the people of God. For that we give thanks to God. I think most of us can probably relate to this kind of a scene. Loved one dies. Friends, relatives, people stopping over to give their condolences and pay their respects. And probably at least a few of them have brought a covered dish or two. In biblical times, the Jewish ritual for burial was extravagant. The body was prepared with special oils and wrapped in linen cloth. Everybody who was affiliated or knew the deceased would have been there. And this was certainly true in Lazarus' case. By the time Jesus gets there, I'm sure Mary and Martha were probably both physically and emotionally worn out. Seeing Jesus must have touched off a lot of different kinds of emotions. As we listen to Martha's dialogue with Jesus, we see that there's a little bit of frustration in her voice when she tells him, "You know what? If you'd have just been here a little bit sooner, maybe we could have done something. Oh, I know you can do whatever you... But Jesus, if you'd have just been here," you can almost hear the frustration in her voice. Then she backtracks a little bit and she says, "Oh yeah, I know. One day we'll see him again. He's in a better place, and I'll see him again someday at the resurrection." But Jesus' reaction is truly amazing. The statement that he gives new meaning and understanding to that whole school of thought. He tells her, "You know what? I am the resurrection and I am the life. Whoever believes in me will continue to live even after they've died." And for somebody to say that back in that day and age, that would have been a pretty radical statement. And actually, if you think about it, it's still a pretty radical statement even today. But then he looks Martha probably square in the eye and says, "Do you believe this?" She answers an unequivocal yes. She tells him, "You are the Messiah. You are the Son of God coming into the world." And I think in our faith journey, once we, like Mary, reach the point where we can say, "Yes, Lord, you are the Messiah, the Son of God who came into the world," then our whole focus changes. Once we enter into this new ongoing relationship with God, when we believe that God is, as Jesus told us that he is, then we can experience true peace. No matter what obstacles we face, the fear of death vanishes. A new and ongoing relationship with God means each day we have an opportunity to grow stronger and deeper in our faith, and our priorities and values have truly changed. And when that happens, there's a peace, a true peace, a peace like none other. In these days of uncertain times, it's good to know that there is one thing that we can be certain of, and that is the love of God is always with us. And it's a relationship that we can build on each, every day. If we have this faith, if we have this understanding, then there's no doubt that it is well with our soul.